Hey everybody! Welcome to the 100th episode of Dooglass and Esperanza's Adventures. We're Dooglass and Esperanza, and we decided to leave our lives in the U.S., sell almost everything we own, and move to Baja California Sur, where we decided to start a resort in the magical town of Laredo, Mexico. Please come with us to follow our journey and live before you die. So it's almost hard to believe that we have been making videos for 100 weeks. For the last 100 weeks, we've had a video every single week, and that's almost 2 years. We're only 4 weeks away from our 2-year anniversary. So thanks everyone that supports us and watches the channel. I hope that you guys get something out of this. You know, that's a real purpose for this channel, was to just show everybody that you can do this. If you have dreams of coming to Mexico and moving here and building in Mexico or traveling around Mexico, you know, we really wanted to show you that you can do it. And it's not as dangerous as it's made out on the media. You know, everybody always is sending comments. Is it safe? Is it dangerous? You know, are you going to get killed before the next episode? You know, and honestly, I've said so many times in the comments, and I'll keep saying it, I feel safer here than I had probably anywhere I had lived in the U.S. So in this week's episode, we are going to be working on the hidden bungalow. I'm standing in it right now. You're going to see this come together. We're also going to have an update on the heat pump for the pool, because we've had a few issues there and we had to take care of them. So let's just get started and check that all out. Yesterday, I went to the store and got my lumber package for the hidden bungalow. And almost 100 2x4 by 8s. I think there's 95. 25 12 foot. Those are the rafters. And then plywood. And I put this on here because it was sprinkling yesterday. And so this is some really nice 1/2-inch plywood. It's a pine plywood. One face is smooth, which is good because we're going to paint it. We're not going to have drywall. This is going to be our wall covering. And so, and 47 sheets, I think, of plywood. So I got that all here and ready to go. And I got my saw set up to do some cutting, and got a just a construction blade on it. I don't want to use up my my good cutting blade on just on 2x4s. Now I know right now there's a lot of people saying, "Holy cow, lumber is expensive in Mexico." And you are 100% exactly right. Lumber is very expensive in Mexico if it comes from the U.S. and it's dimensional lumber like I'm using for this construction project. They do sell what they call Mexicano lumber, Madera Mexicano, and that is more rough cut, not necessarily consistent dimension lumber, usually used more for doing forms and construction, bracing and framing up and things like that. That's temporary. That is fairly inexpensive, but this lumber all comes from the U.S. In fact, it comes all the way from Oregon and it has to be trucked all the way down here. It has a huge import tax on it of, I think, 20% or more. And so lumber is not cheap. Generally, Mexican construction uses very little or no wood at all. I would say the majority of Mexican construction is all concrete and steel. It's concrete slab, concrete block. Usually they make the windows, the doors, everything out of steel. I chose to build this out of lumber for a couple of reasons. The first reason is I'm really familiar with lumber framing. I've done a lot of it, and I've got all the tools to do it, and it's pretty fast and easy to do. The second reason is there is metal framing available down here. It is fairly low quality, very, very thin. It is not the same grade of steel studs that they use in the US. And several people I've talked to down here that have used the steel framing from down here have had tons of problems with it. I've never even done any steel framing before, so I didn't want to start out and just have a huge mess and a huge problem. So I'm just sticking with wood. This is all temporary. This can all be taken out and reused later. This is a DeWalt setup, and you can set up a stop. You can take this out however far you need to set up a stop, and then you can make a whole bunch of cuts that are all at the exact same dimensions, and so it makes it easy when you're gonna cut like 80 wall studs down to one particular length. So I'm probably gonna get started on that and get moving here. All right, well, I already got some action going on here. I got the first little wall installed, and it looks horrible because these concrete nails are really bad and they keep bending. So I'm gonna have to go get some Tapcon screws to bolt everything into the concrete. But I can keep working and then get those tomorrow because it's getting towards the end of the day. And so I have this one whole wall built here, just sitting there. You probably think I did that on purpose, right? To get ready, like for the future. No, that's a mistake. I built the wall to go here, but I forgot that it had a window in it. I got so excited to get started on this that I just nailed this thing together. Boom, boom, boom. And I realized it's supposed to have a window hole in it. I have a 6x6 window that goes in it. So, but since that's an 8-foot wall, and I needed 8-foot wall sections here, works perfect. I can just use it right here and then just continue on with the 8-foot walls here. So that's all good. Then I framed up the right wall with the window in it. All right, it's time to quit for the day because I just made another mistake. This is the second mistake. I made a double mistake because I took the mistake wall and then I made a mistake and put it up where I'm gonna have to now modify it. But I'll show you what I got here. Hopefully it isn't too backlit. There's the hole framed in for my 6-foot by 6-foot window. The other mistake is right here. You can see on the floor there's a door right there. It actually opens out, but there's a door right there. So I need a door frame in this wall. So I'm gonna have to take out just this one stud. I'll saw it out with a Sawzall so I can just saw the nails off. And I just have to move this stud here over to here. And I will have to put another stud on the other side here. And this, because is where the door opens, I'll put a double stud in here. Already starting to get an idea what the living room will look like with that big window going to the outside there. That'll be nice. Let a whole bunch of light in, and TV will be right there. Sit on my couch right here. Oh, it's gonna be nice. I can't wait. Now I just gotta get it done. Well, I haven't been down here for a couple days with the camera to show you what's going on, but our wall around our heat pump is pretty much done, and it just needs to be painted tomorrow, and then we are all good to go. Looking really good. it makes a huge difference. You can basically not even hear the heat pump in there anymore. And this has been a great solution, worked really well to do what we wanted it to do, to make the heat pump quieter. And so now we can continue to use it and it won't bother any guests. And we just need to paint this inside and out and we'll be all good to go. Well, as soon as you think things are going really good, they aren't. I was right in the middle of the hidden bungalow here, and I realized that the wall around the heat pump that we built is going to cause problems. Our plumber, who originally helped us install all the pool equipment, came yesterday and told us that the wall we built is going to restrict the airflow around the heat pump. Then I went and did some research and it definitely looks like it's going to. Today when I turned it on, I went down there and felt around there, and you can feel that cold air that's supposed to be exhausted out is getting trapped in there. And that's going to hurt the efficiency in the winter, but it could be the end of the heat pump in the summer, because when it's cooling, it's pumping out hot air. And that hot air gets trapped and it's already hot outside. It can get very hot inside that little alcove where that heat pump is, and that can lead to overheating the heat pump, even burn up the compressor. So I looked at a bunch of options. If we want to keep the wall around it, there's really only one option, and that's to build an exhaust vent for the air coming out the top. You have to get it out away from the heat pump. So I'm going to build a duct to take that air out through the wall on this side away from the villa and exhaust it out this way, so that then it's sucking in warm air and exhausting that air out side of the enclosure. So of course I need a 30-inch heating duct that I have to build. There's nothing in town except bare sheet metal. Now possibly I could get some flat sheet metal and try to build a heating duct, but I don't even have galvanized sheet metal here that's the right thickness, so it probably would just rust right up anyway. So I'm going to build it out of wood. I'm going to try to seal it really good on the inside and put it on there and see if it'll work. So now I have to shift gears here and start to work on this heat duct air duct for the heat pump. And I've got a plan drawn up right here, and I'm gonna get started right now. We got the duct down here. I got it all built. Show you, this is a behemoth, but there's a lot of air coming out of there. So it has to be pretty darn big. And then we're going to cut the hole out there to get the air out. And this will be all ready to go. Just slide right in there and we're good to go. Making some good progress here on the hidden bungalow. So you can see I've got quite a bit more framed out. I pretty much got the entire living room, kitchen area, great room area, all framed out. And it hasn't been without some difficulty, and I'm going to show you that right now. Okay, if you look at this wall, you're going to notice that this stud does not look straight. And it isn't. Well, straight, by straight I mean it is not plumb. It is not straight up and down. So I did not anticipate this problem, and now I'm having to deal with it in several different areas. So the problem is, which I should have anticipated but I didn't, is that this is a garage. When they poured the floor of this garage, they correctly sloped the concrete down towards the garage door because you want the concrete slope to the garage door so that if you get a bunch of water in here, different stuff, some people wash their garage floors out, things like that, the water, most of it goes out the door, and that's the way that this was designed. I did not think about that when I was planning this whole project and framing this up. And so I built these walls like you would build in a standard stick frame construction. I built them on the floor, framed them up on the floor, tipped them up, and then nailed them in. So the problem is I frame them up on the floor totally square. I get everything square. I get all the studs square, everything square. I tip it up on the floor, and the floor is sloped like this. So what happens to the wall? Well, originally, I mean, if you just tip it up, the entire wall now is going to be tipped this way. And if you could keep it all that way, it probably would be fine because then everything would still be square, except the entire wall would just be tilted a little bit to the towards the door. So here's what happened. I put up this front wall first. I got it all plumb, square, and so it is straight up and down in this direction. It doesn't tilt towards the garage door. And this wall, then, when I built these walls and tipped them up, of course they didn't line up with this wall. But if you've ever done wood framing, you know that shear-wise, these walls can tip a lot side to side because they're just nailed with a couple nails on top and bottom. So what do? I know this wall is squared up. So I tilted this wall over and squared it up with this wall, thinking that, okay, when I tipped it up, it had gotten out of square. Well, no, I was taking it from square and making it into a parallelogram. I put this door together. And because of the parallelogram, it is now off slightly and it won't shut. And you can see the parallelogram effect right here. The bottom of this door is very tight, and as you come up this seam, it gets bigger and bigger up to the top because this wall is tilted a little bit. So if this was permanent, I probably would tear this all out and do it right. And the right way to do it would be to somehow level up all these sill plates. I mean, the right way to do it is to start on a level surface. If your foundation is not level and totally flat, you're going to run into problems in any construction, especially the higher you go. If you build a 2-story structure and the foundation's all out of square and plumb and level, and once you get to the roof, your roof's gonna be so screwed up because it amplifies as you go up. I don't have that problem here. I'm just building this. I'm just putting these roof ceiling trusses across, and this is all temporary anyway. So as long as I can get the plywood on here and make it work, I'm just gonna leave it, because to take this entire bottom plate and get it level would be a tremendous amount of work. I'd have to find the highest point in the entire perimeter of the foundation here, and then I'd have to figure out all the different points and shim this or level it somehow to get everything leveled up to the exact point. And it just doesn't make any sense to go that much work for something that's temporary, and I can make it work like this and it'll be just as strong. Just everything might be a little bit off, there might be gaps, but it's going to be plywood that's not even sealed on the inside, so it really doesn't matter. So but I do have to fix this door or it won't close. So what I'm going to do, luckily I have this, I put in this stud here just to hold this frame, and this is on the catch side of the door. This is just an extra stud to hold this door frame. And so what I'm going to do is disconnect or cut this door frame stud out. This piece will then be able to move this way, and I'm just going to scoot that stud over enough so I got the correct gap on the door opening, and then I'll nail it back into place and it'll all be good. All right, I got this all fixed up here. I got this stud loose, moved it over, and now the door shuts. Got a nice gap all the way around, and gonna work perfectly. Now the next big question is gonna be, how's the plywood gonna go on these studs? Am I gonna have to make all kinds of little slices to get it lined up so I can nail it on? We are putting up wall panels, as you can see, and this is not how you would normally do this, because you normally would use plywood, but we are using you normally would use drywall, but we're using plywood. And so we're just trying to get these up tight and get them screwed in. That gap looks tight. So we'll tack one in the other side. Okay. And I'm using this pry bar. You can pick it up by putting your foot on here. You can also twist it, move it side to side by twisting the pry bar side to side. Now they actually make a thing, it's called a drywall lift, that has like a little ball in it, and it works a little bit better, but we don't have one, so the pry bar is as good as it gets, but it works pretty good. And then I've been cutting and getting the first panel set, and then Esperanza has been filling in the rest of the screws on the panel. And one other thing you'll notice here is that the wall is going to go up to here. So we are going to put another wall right up to on top of this plywood. Now normally if you're drywalling, you wouldn't do this, but this is temporary. We're not going to finish these joints. We're going to leave them just like this. And so there's no reason to make all these cuts around this. I'm just going to put the sheet all the way across, and then the wall will just nail straight in through this plywood here. And we've got one wall done here of the great room. And then here is the door, which is working. So now we have to either do a bunch of cuts around the door and the big window, or work on the ceiling, because we have to get the ceiling up. I told Esperanza not to kneel on the floor with bare knees, or her knees are going to be killing her tonight. But she won't listen. I have both a pad that you can kneel on, and I have knee pads.
Where's the pad?
I would just use one of those pads right there.
Oh.
And kneel on that.
Okay. Well,
all right, we're going to get back to work.
I wonder why Douglas's back won't heal.
Because the work's got to get done. Hidden bungalow has to go forward no matter what.
I don't know about that.
I am back here in the corner next to the heat pump because it's really windy out this afternoon. So I don't know if you can be able to hear me once I get out here, but I was going to show you the final heat pump install. So we've got the heat pump here all installed, and we have my huge duct that I built around it that covers it and is all sealed. And I'll show you up on this side. That is the hole. This is gigantic. I literally can't get inside this thing. It's big. And the heat pump is all sealed up. So all of the exhaust air from the heat pump comes out this way and gets way away from the intake for the heat pump. Because if you have the exhaust from the heat pump getting sucked back into the intake, then you're either going to have no efficiency at all, or it's going to get bad, like if it gets really hot in the summer and there's hot air getting blown out and sucked in, it will end up burning up the heat pump. So we are all ready to go. The heat pump has been working fantastic. It usually takes about 1.5 to 2 hours in the morning to get the pool pumped back up to 88 degrees. It loses about 5 degrees, about 5 degrees usually at night, overnight. And this brings it right back up to 88 and usually about 1.5 hours. So I think I have it coming on now at 8. So by 9:30 in the morning, 10 o'clock, the pool's back up to 88. And then this usually kicks off and doesn't come on for the rest of the day, because by that time the sun has come out and the solar panels are putting out heat, and the solar panels are enough to keep the pool heated the rest of the day until the next evening. Thanks everybody for watching the video. I know some of you really like the construction videos, and other people it just isn't their thing. But I'm just kind of documenting what we're doing. So we're gonna have kind of a mix match. You see what's happening with us. And we have probably a couple more weeks here on the hidden bungalow. So you're gonna be seeing the rest of it, and you're gonna see it all finished. All right, thanks again for watching, and never forget to live before you die.